Samantha stood in front of the mirror, her hands trembling as she tried to clasp the delicate chain of her necklace. The faint sound of her heartbeat echoed in her ears, louder than the soft music playing in the background. Tonight was different. Tonight was the night she had promised herself she would finally stop hiding from life. For 27 years, Samantha had lived carefully. Too carefully. She wasn't the girl who went to parties, wasn't the one who filled her weekends with dates and laughter. She was the girl who read quietly in the corner, who kept her heart behind walls built from past wounds. Growing up, her father had walked out on her mother without a word, leaving behind a little girl who believed that love was fragile, unreliable, and dangerous. So Samantha told herself she didn't need it. She convinced herself she was safer alone. But life, in its quiet way, had other plans. It was a rainy Tuesday when she met Daniel. She had been standing in line at a coffee shop, her umbrella dripping water onto the floor. As she fumbled with her purse, her wallet slipped from her hands, scattering coins and bills across the wet tiles. Mortified, she bent down, only to find another pair of hands already gathering the coins. "Here," the stranger said, his voice warm and steady. "You dropped something." He was smiling, not the kind of smile that made you nervous, but the kind that made you feel safe. That was Daniel. She thanked him, embarrassed, but he shook his head. "It's nothing. Though, you owe me one coffee for helping." He grinned, and somehow, she laughed a laugh that felt like it had been trapped inside her for years. And that was the beginning. For weeks, they bumped into each other at the cafe. At first Samantha thought it was coincidence. Then she realized Daniel was timing his visits just to see her. He wasn't pushy, wasn't overwhelming. He was simply there, gentle, patient, kind. So when he finally asked her out, Samantha froze. Her first instinct was to say no, to retreat back into the safety of solitude. But something about him, his steadiness, his sincerity, made her whisper, yes. And now, here she was. The restaurant was small and cozy, tucked into a quiet street lit by golden lamps. Samantha walked slowly, her nerves prickling like tiny needles beneath her skin. What if she said something foolish? What if he realized she wasn't as interesting as he thought? What if he regretted asking her at all? Her mind was a storm of thoughts as she stepped inside. Then she saw him. Daniel was already seated at a table near the window. When his eyes met hers, his entire face lit up, and suddenly, the storm inside her grew quiet. He stood immediately, pulling her chair out for her with a smile. "You look perfect," he said softly. "Not pretty, not beautiful. Perfect." And in that moment, she believed him. Dinner began with small talk, but soon laughter filled the space between them. Daniel told stories that made her laugh so hard she nearly spilled her water. He listened when she spoke, really listened, leaning forward as though every word mattered. For the first time in years, Samantha felt like she wasn't invisible. But then came the moment that changed everything. Halfway through the meal, a waiter approached with something unexpected, a small notebook, bound in soft brown leather. He placed it gently on the table in front of Samantha. Confused, she looked at Daniel. "What's this?" she asked. Daniel's cheeks flushed slightly. He rubbed the back of his neck, suddenly shy. "I know this is only our first date," he admitted, "but I thought maybe we could write something together. A story. Every time we meet, we add a page. Not about big things, just little moments, like tonight. Something that's ours." Samantha hesitated, her fingers brushing the notebook cover. She opened it slowly, and on the first page, in neat handwriting, Daniel had written, Chapter 1, "The night we shared pasta, and laughed too loud." Her throat tightened. No one had ever done something like this for her. No one had ever tried to turn a single evening into a memory worth keeping. She blinked back tears, whispering, "This is beautiful." Daniel smiled, but there was no pride in it, only sincerity. "You were worth remembering," he said quietly. Those words sank into her heart, breaking down the walls she had built over years of fear. She wasn't just on a date. She was being seen. The evening ended with Daniel offering to walk her home. The streets glowed with lamplight, the night air cool and gentle. They spoke less now, the silence between them comfortable. At her doorstep, Samantha braced herself for the awkwardness of goodbye. But instead of leaning in too soon, instead of forcing the moment, Daniel placed the notebook gently in her hands. "This isn't mine anymore," he said softly. "It's ours. Write the next chapter, whenever you feel like it." Samantha clutched it to her chest, her heart overflowing. She had been so afraid of love, of opening herself up, of being left behind. But for the first time in her life, she wasn't nervous anymore, because tonight wasn't just a first date. It was the start of something real. And so, Samantha stepped inside with a smile she couldn't hide, a notebook pressed against her heart, and the quiet certainty that some surprises are worth the wait. Closing narration for YouTube. Sometimes, the greatest surprises in life don't come wrapped in grand gestures or expensive gifts. They come in the form of kindness, sincerity, and the courage to see someone for who they truly are. Samantha's first date wasn't just about food or laughter, it was about being valued, remembered, and cherished. And if you believe in the power of love, kindness, and second chances, don't forget to subscribe because there are more stories.